Okay, here I am at the start of the first heat, and I'm in pole position, actually by lucky draw. It was just pulled out of a hat that I was in pole, so very convenient, and I get to get into the first corner first. And I believe it's Tim behind me. And I've got the rear-facing camera, so that's really handy, and we're on the national circuit this time. So the month previously it was the long circuit, but now we're on the national circuit. And you can see Tim's still pretty close to me here, actually, on the first lap. I'm really twitching all over the place, trying to go over that curb. But a pretty good exit, actually, because I've got a little bit of distance on him already. And look at that. Plenty of space. Oh, we had a big oversteering moment there. So it does seem to be very twitchy at the moment. But got enough of a distance ahead of Tim into the first corner, which is nice. And a nice clear road in front of me. So coming into this corner here, it's really tricky because you've got to take a little bit of speed off, otherwise you'll just go straight off the circuit. But you want to jump on the power again as soon as you can so that you can keep the speed up. And I've actually kept the same ratio on the kart as I was the previous month, even though it's a different layout of the circuit. So I'm still running like a 10:74 ratio, which does seem to be quite good with the straight line speed, and again I'm oversteering there a lot. So I think it's a bit windy here because it's really flying all over the place. And just braking into the first corner. Again, I don't want to go too far because if you go too deep, then you really do lose more time than you gain. And again, coming into here, you just want to clip that curb but not too much. Brake heavy enough here to get onto that second curb. And then you can see in the third one, I'm also running over that as well. So if I can hit all those curbs, then it's really good. And then over that curb as well. I'm still not sure if that's faster or not, but if you slip too wide, then you definitely lose lap time if you go too wide. And then through here, it's just about being smooth. But every single lap on that one, I'm going oversteery there, so that's not good. And I didn't realise at this point, but yeah, Tim's dropping back a fair bit, so this is great for me. And it should mean that in the second heat, I get to start... Actually, no, you know what? The second heat, I'm going to be at the back because this is a reverse grid situation. So for the second heat, I don't get the advantages of starting at the front. And look at that, I've got a fair gap now between myself and Tim. And you can see I'm really wrestling with the wheel a lot. And once again, you know, this engine, the X30, even though I don't think it's quite as good an engine as the Rotax, in the current configuration with the weight and everything, and the restrictor size, I think the X30 is superior. Because it's so much easier to drive. It's just the speed comes on very gradual as you build up, whereas with the Rotax, I tended to have to wait till halfway down or into the first corner, the first flat out corner, before the engine would really kick in. So the characteristics are a lot more simple with this engine, although it uses twice the oil and has to be rebuilt twice as much as well. So it's a little bit more of a delicate engine, even though it's easier to run. But you can just hear there, it's just screaming away. And I'm just thinking at the moment, you know, just try to get as fast as possible. Always try to brake a bit deeper into there, but again, if you start to lose the rear, then you lose more time. And into here, I literally just kind of get on the curb and then fling it in. I don't really even think I brake that much, if at all. Oh god, getting oversteer again. Not good. And I keep trying to get onto that curb on the left-hand side, the last one, but it doesn't seem to be. I'm not really getting there. Even that one, I'm sort of sliding or understeering too much with this kart. And these tyres I actually bought off somebody from Facebook Marketplace, so they're not even new tyres, but they're pretty good actually. He said he'd only done about 30-40 laps on them, so they're still basically quite new. But after spending so much money on the kart, I didn't want to go buy new tyres for this event. Oh, look at that, swinging it in. See, that's perfect, and you can do a four-wheel drift. And look at that, isn't that a lovely feeling when you can see, not that I could see myself at the time, but looking back at it now, to see no one behind me, that's really, really satisfying. So I think in this heat we were definitely the fastest, and it just so happened that I was on pole, so that was really, really useful. And up ahead is some people from medium, so we're catching up to them and see if we can... Oh, what is there? 2 laps left? So yeah, let's see if we can catch up to some people from another class, because we run medium at the same time, and medium's a little bit heavier than us. They might be 5 kilos heavier. This guy's maybe not quite on it that much. Trying to go down the inside, but oh, there we go. He's been a gentleman. He's let me through, so that's really nice. But we did lose a couple of seconds there. So maybe Tim's a little bit closer now. And it's interesting. I mean, it's very hard to see, but every time I pass the midfield section, you can actually see the guys in medium that are basically keeping pace with me. So realistically, if I get really critical of myself, I would say, look, I must be the fastest guy on the circuit because I'm lighter than the guys in medium. But actually, in this race, I think the medium guys were about the same pace, or maybe one of them was a couple of tenths faster than me. So, and if you come up here, if you look really closely, just so I go through this corner, you can see them flashing through in the background there. That was pretty much, I was looking at it before, exactly the same on heat 1, sorry, on lap 1. So I think I am pretty much keeping pace with those guys in medium, the guys at the front, I think anyway. So yeah, it's I don't want to be too critical, but realistically I should be faster than them because they're a little bit heavier than I am. So yeah, but anyway, in the Masters class, we've seemed to have done pretty well today, so that's good. But as I have a new kart, well basically a new kart and new engine, I think also I've probably got a little bit of an advantage on the other competitors in my class, because some of the people are using engines that are quite a bit older than mine. So yeah, having a new engine really makes a big difference, but nevertheless it's really nice to be out front. Even if it's a little bit boring to watch, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. So we are catching up with someone else in medium, but I don't think we're going to catch them in time, because it is the last lap. And there we go. So that's heat 1. So heat 1 was very straightforward, but let's see about heat 2, which is not quite so straightforward. Okay, so here is heat 2. And yeah, as I said, we started at the back, and I've got this kind of Kmart cloth over me, which is kind of like a really cheap driving suit thing, or wetsuit, because I didn't want to pay for the other one. And we've got exceptionally old wet tyres. So these wet tyres have done dozens of races as far as I can tell. I didn't even buy them new, I bought them second hand, but I've also used them about 4 times as well. So the tyres are not the best. And as soon as I got into this race, I realised, I'm like, shit, this is going to be a real struggle, because I could barely keep up with them. So with all the domination in the first heat, I'm thinking, oh crap, this heat's going to be a little bit tricky. And I'd literally forgotten how to drive in the wet, because it's been quite a while anyway. I did actually have another set of tyres that I could have worn, but I decided to put these ones on, and it was a bit of a mistake. But anyway, we're catching up a little bit. And let's see what we can do here. Can we go deep? No, not that deep yet. And every lap was like figuring things out, because as I said, I hadn't been on this circuit before. It's really slippery here. And there we go. Tim's gone off, so he's obviously had a bit of a spin. And oh god, I'm understeering into that corner. I could barely keep up with them. Really tricky. And you know, in the wet, you're just trying to turn, but it understeers a lot. God, really having a difficulty getting on the power. And you can see Tim's catching me already, which is amazing. And there we go, we're too wide. Oh, luckily I didn't get on the power, so I didn't slip off. But yeah, especially going around here, it's normally flat through here, obviously, but to know how early you can get on the power is really tricky. And there's all these white lines along the road there, so you've got to be super careful. But I think we're catching a little bit here. Let's see what we can do. Going a little bit deeper on the brakes, but maybe not enough. Oh, losing it a bit there. sliding around. This is the real slippery one. You can see the understeer. And then there we go. He spun around and oh, that was very fortunate to get past him. I lost a bit of momentum and oh, look at that understeering. I think now we're in probably third or fourth, maybe fourth. And I think it's Robert Baldacci who is up the front, and he looks like he's just driven away. And I've got Marco in front of me. So I think Marco's in third, or maybe second, and we're in third. I'm not quite sure at this point. And let me see. And you can see Tim is catching behind, so Tim's doing really well in this race. And there we go, catching Marco a little bit on the straight. That's good to see. And now I'm gaining a little bit of confidence. See what we can do on the brakes. There we go. So really gaining up on the brakes here. And then getting on the power. I don't want to go on too early, but this is the real slippery bit here, because it just understeers the whole way. And then, oh god, that was close. So we're getting kind of close to Marco here, but where are we going to go? And again, I'm understeering into that corner way too much. And there we go. Oh, I've lost the rear. Tried to correct it several times, but just absolutely slid off. And Tim's just gone rushing past. So Tim was catching both of us really quickly. So at this point I'm thinking, oh man, even though I spun, I don't think I would have been able to keep Tim behind me anyway, because he was catching quite quickly. And yeah, the way I lost the rear there, that was extreme. So yeah, these tyres are really feeling quite bald. And the problem with the wet is that once you spin, it's really difficult to catch up again. You need to have a significant pace advantage to be able to catch up again. First corner seems okay, but let's see how we go with turn 2. Oh, we've got someone in front of us. This might be somebody on the other... Oh, there we go. Oh, no, I thought I was going to lose it there. Oh, we're catching. Okay, here we go. So, not too bad. Oh, he's a P-plater, so that's not going to be... he's not going to be going that fast. And then it's the challenge of how do you get through. So obviously Tim and Marco have already got through this guy. So that makes it a little bit easier. And whoops, oh no, he's gotten on the power too much. I actually thought at the time that I'd hit him, but looking at the footage again, I've realised I didn't actually touch him. But he's gone off, which is the worst place to go off, because then you're facing the wall. I'm trying to push as hard as I can. Even, yeah, coming out quite wide there. Still nowhere near them. So this is really disappointing. So I believe I'm in third place, or maybe fourth place, because I think it's Robert up front. And there we go, pushed too hard, and a full 360. And there we go. Oh, we've been passed by someone as well. So we must be in fourth or fifth at this stage, I think. There's somebody off on the right hand side. Feeling like a really disappointing race already, this one. And oh god, I'm struggling so much. And it's really easy in this situation to just feel like a terrible, terrible driver. God, I think I clipped the rear there as well. But yeah, I think the reality is I think these tyres are just a bit dead. So yeah, oh, really struggling there. Catching this guy a little bit again, but I believe Marco and Tim must be miles away from me. I can't even see them there. They must be in the first corner still. I'm hoping. Otherwise they're miles and miles in front of me. Can't see them down there. They must be, yeah, they must be in that national section there. Oh, so there we go. Someone has spun, and then it's just instinctive, but I've touched the brakes as well. And then, oh god, now who's that past me? God, I don't even know who this is. They could be in my class, they could be in another class, I'm not sure. But yeah, not a happy race at all. And this Leaf is going to stay there for a while. And I think this is pretty much my race. I don't think I'm going to make any more progress here. Even though maybe I'm a little bit faster than this guy. Is he in my race? Is he not? Who knows? Oh, he's let me pass, so that's good. And I'm getting a little bit more bold now because I'm angry. I'm thinking, what is the point of this race? They're just getting further and further ahead of me. And I'm not really braking that heavy in the first corner either, because I know from the other race that I was braking a lot heavier, I think. And then Oh, managed to keep it there. And then I just can't get any power into that corner. It's just understeering so much. And then here again, quite a lot of understeer. All on my lonesome. No one around. Somebody behind me, but as I said, who knows if they're in my race or not. Okay, here we are for Heat 3. Now, this time I was third on the grid, so you can see Tim's in front, and I believe it's Robert. Oh, and then Robert's kind of cut me off here, and that's what's happened is I've slipped. My back has twitched, and then I've accidentally knocked him on the rear, and I felt really bad, but I kind of just nerfed him off. I didn't intend to do that. I wanted to fall in behind him. I think it's Robert Baldacchino. Yeah, so it's him, and I didn't mean to hit him, but I realised in this footage on the way back that my rear wheel twitched, and that meant that when it reconnected to the ground again, it nerfed my nose into him as a kind of reactionary. So it was kind of like a bit of a pendulum, and I knocked him. So I didn't intend to do that, but anyway, that left us at the back. So poor Robert's behind me, and I think he won the previous race. So yeah, so that was really bad for him. I did apologise to him after the race because I don't like to do that sort of thing. And I didn't intend to do it, but those things happen. Anyway, just as a little secret between, I shouldn't really be saying this, but in this race I actually decided to put on a different set of wet tyres, which is strictly you're not supposed to do that, but those other tyres I had were so old I really couldn't drive in them at all. So these ones are less used, they're still used, but they're less used. So I could feel immediately that it was much easier to drive. The kart was turning a lot more, and you can see here I am actually catching them this time. And Tim this time is out front, and I remember how quick he was in the previous race, so it's going to be really tricky to catch him. Because we have... if I could see the number I could tell you who's in front of us, but I'm not sure at this stage. I think it's Marco ahead of him, and I have to see who the previous one is. Apologies if I don't know the name, but I might have to just go by the number this time. I try to remember everybody who's in my races, but if I haven't met them before, it's a little bit tricky to remember unless I go on Speed Hive and pretend that I know them. Anyway, I'm catching them very, very gradually, but definitely smoother than the last race. I haven't had any crazy spins, so that's a good sign, and I'm just gaining a bit of confidence. 26. Okay, I'm sorry I don't know the name. I'll have to check later. But yeah, okay, let's just call him 26 for the moment. So I'm definitely catching him. He's definitely in our class, so this is 4th position. I believe I'm in 4th at this point. And there we go. So I had a bit of a decent run. Managed to get alongside. It looks like he's in a parallel. So they're very good, those karts. And there we go. Now I'm into 3rd, and I've got Marco ahead of me. And Marco's a really good guy. Really good, hard racer. And now I've got to try and catch him because he obviously got away from me last time because I kept spinning. So I want to make a better impression this time. But he's driving well here because I'm really struggling to catch up to him, I think. And just trying to find my way in terms of, you know, when you're driving in the rain for the first, well, not the first time, but it's been such a long time. It's probably been about 6 or 9 months that I've driven in a race in the wet. You kind of really forget, and I'm just taking a kind of normal line here, but it seems to be okay. But yeah, you really want to look for those ungreasy areas that don't have too much rubber. But it seems to be most grippy down the middle there, which is good. But if you go off those really grippy areas, you notice it immediately, like I did before when I kept spinning there. But anyway, so I'm able to come into this corner a bit better, even though I understeered there a bit more. But definitely into this corner where I spun out last time, much easier through there with these tyres. And just trying to get on the power a bit more, but Jesus, I'm really struggling to get closer to him. Just coming up closer. Oh, and that was a stupid thing. I put my rear wheel, and look at that. Lost so much momentum. I think I lost about 4 seconds there, so now he's miles away. And I'm thinking, oh man, how am I going to catch him? And now I was a bit angry at this point. I'm thinking, how am I going to get there? Because I really wanted to catch Tim, but I think Tim might be a little bit out of reach now because he's literally probably about 10 seconds up the road, I'd say, because he's... Oh, there was that Marco in front of me now. So somehow I've caught... Marco must have had a moment because I'm pretty close to him now. But I'm assuming Tim is at least 5 seconds up the road from Marco because we can't see him at all. So, yeah, so it's going to be quite tricky. Again, just trying to be as gentle as possible. I think I've gained quite a bit on him actually, which is good. And that corner, and I still keep touching it. I keep going too wide, so I'm not learning from my mistakes here. And something actually happened with the rear camera here. You can see it's all gone dark. So I'm not sure exactly what happened with it, but I had to fix it. And the cover is actually falling off, and I was totally unaware of this. Eventually we lose it, sadly. Alright, here's Marco. So we've caught him somehow. He must have had an incident or a moment because we've caught him really quick. And I'm feeling a bit more confidence in the tyres here now, and we've got that same guy again ahead of us, so we have to try to navigate him. So I'm pretty sure Marco's in second, and I'm third. Oh, somebody went off there. And I know Marco's going to be quite defensive on the straight, so I need to be smart here and see which way he's going to go. I know he'll be able to hear me and he'll be looking. There we go, he's looking, and he's going to go to the inside. And so I'm going to try the outside. And we were talking about this before the race, and I said, if you go the inside, I'm going the outside. And look at that. We managed to get around him, so that was really good. And now this guy, hopefully he'll let us through. This is the same guy from the first race, I think, that let me through. Oh, but he's not letting me in this time, so that's a bit tricky. And if people don't let you through in these corners, it's almost impossible to pass because it's one-way traffic. Oh, there we go, he let us through, so that was really nice. And finally, I'm not going over that white line at the end. I'm trying to get a proper corner. Now let's see how we can go. So I'm getting a lot more confidence here now. I'm managing to just feather off the throttle just a little bit, and here definitely much faster. Was not going anywhere near that hard before. An interesting thing is in the wet, you can actually brake. I felt like I was almost braking as deep as I was in the dry there, which is amazing. And the other thing I was going to mention is that actually I went back to my original ratio for this race because in the second heat I decided to lower the ratio to give better acceleration and less straight line speed. But I really found like it didn't help at all because then I had no straight line speed to pass people. And I wasn't any quicker coming out of the corners anyway because of those tyres. So in this race I actually went back to my original ratio, which means I'm going to struggle a little bit coming out of the corners, but it should be on the straight that I can get good straight line speed. And I think I've been actually pulling away from Marco a fair bit, so it seems to be working. But once again, no sign of Tim whatsoever. 1 lap to go. So I think when I looked at the my laps later on, Tim ends up about 6 seconds in front of me. So yeah, we're definitely not going to catch him. But I'm proud to say actually we did have the fastest lap of the race in this. Our fastest lap was about 4/10 faster than Tim's, so I think overall he pulled away obviously because he's 6 seconds ahead of us. He had a very consistent race, so he definitely deserved the win. But I think if we had have been closer to him, we might have been able to do something because we did have a faster race lap. But it just took me so long to get there. I mean, nearly going off when I was behind Marco and all the shenanigans trying to get past people, it just ended up pulling us back. So Tim was about 6 seconds ahead of us in the end. And here in the final, I'm actually starting on second on the grid, and okay, I'll just see what happens here. So I decided I'm going to go down the outside. It's actually dry. I've got slicks on. And I thought it was dry, but it's just a little bit too much. I tried to go around the outside, and it ended up that we are last. And also, something of note, you can actually see that I didn't even realize it, but I'm actually wearing my coat. So this final race was an absolute disaster, because not only did we lose at the first corner, we went off because I outbraked myself. I actually was so cold after the rain in the third heat, because I was completely saturated, that I put my coat on the grid, and I was really oblivious to this. I had no idea that I was actually still wearing my coat. And then here I am in the race. I'm thinking, okay, I need to catch up. But they started to give me the black flag, and I was so confused by this, because every lap I would come around and I would see the black flag, or it was like an orange on the black flag, and I don't know, somehow it was really weird. But in my head, I was thinking it couldn't possibly be for anything. For me, I didn't know what was wrong. I thought there was something wrong with my neck brace or something, but it was actually that I was wearing my coat, and my hoodie was flailing around behind me. So I had such a ridiculous race, because I didn't know what was going on, and in my head I was trying to argue with myself about whether or not I should go into the pits or not. And of course I should have gone in the pits, but in the end I didn't, and it was a stupid thing to do. But eventually I lost control of the kart anyway, and there we go. So there's my thing. It says 25 orange. In the end, I ended up spinning off, but all in all, I got disqualified in the final race, and I feel very stupid that I should have actually just gone in the pits, because it could have been dangerous having my coat on, for sure.